Hi Gamers Global, I'm Al Hope from Creative Assembly and I'm Creative Director on Halo Wars 2.
Okay, thanks.
That was 10 seconds.
That was perfect. Well, the game is all about speed, so you've learned to do quick interviews. You not only are the director now for Halo Wars 2, you've been the director of Alien Isolation.
That's correct, yeah.
So when did you join Creative Assembly?
When did I join?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Some time ago.
I joined just over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
As a trainee artist.
Uh-huh.
And yeah.
So maybe we met then when the Total War franchise started.
I worked on the prototype for Total War a very long time ago.
What did you get for your 20th anniversary? Did you get a pen or something, or a needle, or?
I got to work on this amazing game.
And that's reward enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me quickly about the setting of the game, because I just played it. I know the mechanics, but what's the setting?
Yeah. So Halo Wars, the original, followed the story of Captain Cutter and the Spirit of Fire, the crew of the Spirit of Fire. And now we're picking up that story. 28 years later, the crew come out of cryosleep and they find themselves over this mysterious installation called the Ark, and they confront this quite merciless and brutal but kind of brilliant leader in Atriox and his faction called the Banished, which kind of have their own new look and feel, their whole new faction, but have some kind of, they borrow components from other places, and so there's some old Covenant tech in there, there's some brand new tech, and yeah, this is a fantastic story about how Cutter confronts and attempts to overcome Atriox and the Banished.
Mm-hmm. But the Banished are not the Ark; they are another faction, or
yeah. So the Ark is its own installation, and what the Banished are doing there is one of the things that Cutter discovers during the course of the story.
Mm-hmm. I noticed in the multiplayer setup that you later will be able to choose Cutter as a general.
Yeah, so leaders are a really big part of the game. Leaders define, in some ways, some of the units that are available to you, the kind of tech tree. And each leader comes with their own set of units and special abilities, or leader powers. And so choosing the leader, so it's certainly in multiplayer, choosing the right leader, the leader that suits your playstyle is kind of key. And so you can get some really interesting combinations in team play as people choose different combinations of leaders to make up their team.
You are earning command points, and with them you can buy passive and active skills like attack or run from a bomber or something like that, or some kind of missiles.
So leader powers are kind of instant actions or abilities that the player can deploy in the field, and as you say, some are passive and some are active, and they get upgraded over time as you encounter enemy forces and do battle. You're earning commander points, and with those you can use your leader powers. But
they cost resources, which is the same currency you also need for building new units. So you have to think about: do I need another tank or whatever?
Yeah,
Warthog, or do I need a special power right now?
So resource management is a kind of big part of RTS, and so there's some nice trade-offs there. Which direction do you want to go? Go more leader heavy, or do you want to build up your forces?
Also, with the units, you can have a Spartan, of course, and he's very mighty but also expensive. Or will you go for standard Marines and try to win with them?
Yeah. So there's some great strategies. To try and build up your resources and build up your army and build up your defences, or do you sort of push out and try and attack your opponent with a surprise ambush?
So Halo Wars 1 was one of the few console RTS games in existence and actually working. So two things in one. Now, obviously, you also have a PC version, and you can have your standard mouse keyboard configuration. So I'm interested, because I played on the console now, I'm interested in what is the lead platform for the interface. What's the platform you play the game in?
Well, as you say, Halo Wars was the biggest selling console RTS ever, and is absolutely loved by fans. And a sequel was the #1 request from fans for 343. And so I think what is exciting, one of the things that was super exciting about Halo Wars 2 is the fact that it's coming to Windows 10 and Xbox One. You know, I think the core experience is identical on both platforms, and that has been our goal from the start. That no matter which platform you play on, you can have a great experience. The other goal was whichever platform you played on, that the controls would feel natural, and so with the PC version, if you're an RTS player, then the controls, the keyboard and mouse controls should feel very intuitive. You should feel right at home, and it should feel familiar. And with the PC version, if your hardware can accommodate it, then the PC version can also go up to 4K, and the game looks incredible in 4K.
With the console version, I noticed one thing. First, it's really working well. But there's one thing, at least I had problems with, and that is the local and global selection by tapping RT, I think. And I constantly, because I do not want to miss one unit, I constantly use the global selection, forgetting that there's one small troop I would like to stay there. So, what could I do to make it stand there? Is there a sort of guard mode, or have you thought about something like that? Because I ended up with sending my units from all over the map to one point all the time. I was just not intellectually fit enough to not do that.
I'd say, you know, one of the great things that the campaign does, I think, really well is ease you into that interface, ease you into the experience. And so I think for people playing campaign, they'll build up that finger memory, those skills, those control skills quite quickly. But I think the campaign is a really great place to start, and you'll get that understanding over time. So I think, you know.
So you have still hopes in my ability to actually learn how to do that.
Well, like I said, I think the campaign is a really great way of easing you into the experience and easing you into the controls, which I think, as you say, work really well.
But do you have you thought about grouping or something? Or?
Yeah, so we do have grouping. So we have the ability to select a set of units and put them into control groups.
Oh,
and so on the Xbox, we use the D-pad, so you have 4 control groups. And on PC we use the number. Okay,
so I simply missed that detail, because that would solve my problem.
Yeah, so we absolutely have added control groups. So again, that's something that when you play through the campaign, you start to understand and experience.
So, although it's an RTS, you seem to put much emphasis on the story. There are a lot of little cutscenes in the campaign missions where things happen, where things are shown to you. Is this like a major, time-wise, a major part of the game, or do you do the usual thing of adding stuff to the first couple of missions and then forgetting about that in the later missions?
Well, I think it's like story is a big part of the Halo experience. You know, characters are a big part of it. I think they are the kind of heart of the Halo experience. And you know, we're telling a significant new chapter in the Halo story. We have these amazing cinematics, which were created by Blur Studios, who worked on the original Halo Wars and created the original cinematics for the first Halo Wars. Yeah, I mean, throughout the campaign, you'll be getting these. I mean, I think we tell the story in a variety of ways. You know, we have these incredible cinematics, but I think, you know, the player's journey themselves is telling a story, and how you win battles and complete missions is kind of part of that story as well.
Now to multiplayer. It is fun. It's really fun. Especially if you build a barracks instead of a resource producing building as your first build, and realize it only 2 minutes later when no new resources are coming up. So I had a hard time in my second match. But what I like about it is that it's working even with 3 versus 3. By the way, is that the maximum of players?
Yeah, 3 versus 3.
On PC too?
Yes.
Okay. So it's fast. It's still it's not very strategic, but it's very tactical, I think. So
yeah, I think there's strategy. I think there's quite a lot of depth there. Again, I think campaign does a great job of helping you understand some of those mechanics. And so maybe building a barracks isn't necessarily your best first move.
Yeah, of course.
Unless you know what you're doing and you understand.
No, I misclicked. I was
okay.
doing it not voluntarily. But what I mean by strategic is the maps are not super huge. They are quite compact, but there's a lot of things going on this compact battlefield.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the size-wise, they're the largest Halo battlefields ever. But in terms of multiplayer, you know, I think one of the things we wanted to do was to make sure this was an RTS for everyone, and so we have a variety of modes which offer different play experiences. So we have Strongholds, which is very arcade action. You know, you don't have to worry about resources. It's just about what are the cool toys that you want to play with, to battle with. It's a great, very explosive mode, which is a great entry point into the game. We have Domination, which maybe you played today, which is about map control. It's about kind of taking over the space in order to prevent the opponent from winning. And then we have Deathmatch, which is, you know, the true test of RTS skill. You know, all the brakes are off. It's the full experience, resource management, strategy, understanding what your opponent's doing, countering it, long-term strategy, moment-to-moment skill, micro skill. And then at the same time, we've created this new mode in Blitz, which is a whole new approach to the RTS experience. You know, taking a strategy game and card collecting to create something that feels a lot more streamlined. So it's super accessible. It's really easy to get into, but it's super deep as well. You know, cards are. You know, we took the approach that we changed the interface so that cards represent units or powers. So players can simply play a card which drops a unit at the space.
Like some of the special abilities of the commanders.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's great fun. But then when you start getting into the card deck management, which is offline, so you don't have the pressure, the moment-to-moment pressure that you have in the, say, deathmatch. You can build this deck, this army. You can really consider the strategy. You can have a variety of decks for different type of play styles. And so you can get some really unique combinations and really come up with some interesting ways to play and to battle. And then, of course, if you're playing with teammates, then you can start to build decks which are actually working in sympathy with each other, and you can create really interesting combinations. You know, one deck can be all about the really super fast, cheap units, so you can just be putting those out really rapidly while your teammate has got a deck full of the more end-game units, and they're just waiting before they can deploy them. And so there's some really interesting, you get some fantastic battles. And I think actually one of the big pushes for us was we wanted to make a game that was really fun to play, but also entertaining to watch. You know, and so, you know, I like to think that Blitz especially is a game that's kind of easy to read and understand what's going on and entertaining to watch.
How important is AI for an RTS game?
Yeah, I think that's a great, you know, AI or kind of the PvE element is a great way for players to try things out, experiment, kind of within a kind of safe environment. we've done quite a lot of work on the AI to provide a variety of different levels of difficulty. Yeah, I think it's a very useful thing for the player because it's a great way of practicing, but it's also a great challenge.
But you don't strive to make the best AI in the field because it's more about the mission design, I guess.
Well, I think yeah. In campaign, it's about telling a story and having an appropriate level of difficulty to tell that story. We have skirmish mode, which is humans versus AI, and you can play that solo or as a team. So I think we're offering some really great opportunities there for the player, and of course you can play multiplayer against other people.
But compared to your former project, Alien Isolation, AI was super important, I guess, because the whole game depended on it. Would you agree?
That was a large component of that game.
Yeah. So I'm just.
So I think having. So in Halo Wars 2.
I don't think it plays the same role. That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, I guess there's a different emphasis. We wanted to make a really great experience, kind of no matter whether you're playing against other people or against the AI. I think, and I'd like to think that we have actually achieved that.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah.